All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie DiGregorio. I am sitting here in New York on Long Island, and I'm really excited to be here today for our session. So, we're going to get started. So, today we're going to talk about instructional technology in the ELL co-taught social studies classroom. For the past 2 years, I've been co-teaching in an American history course with two wonderful co-teachers. And the tools and strategies I'm going to show you today have been really great in the classroom, and it allows the ELLs to participate with their peers at a level and a language level that's appropriate for them. So I'm going to get started, and we are going to pick. Here we go. Hope everybody's excited. It's cold here in New York. Wish it was a little bit warmer. All right. So let's turn my camera on. I don't know if you guys can see it here. All right. So we're going to talk, and this, if you hear click here, this is my bit.ly. So if you'd like to tune into my session and check out my resources, you can certainly do that. And I have another computer open, so if anybody wants to chat, we can do that as well. Okay, so instructional technology in the ELL social studies co-taught classroom. First thing I want to talk about is this idea of 21st century technology for 21st century learners. Engagement is not a language barrier. It can be achieved by all of our students. It can be as simple as a video. It could be as simple as a meme, which we know a lot of our students do love to check out. And I like this idea of moonshot thinking. It's really crucial for our students, very much like what Jana was saying, is to push them. And I like this idea of pushing our students to moonshot think, and which is really great because especially with social studies, it's a lot of content, it's a lot of vocabulary, and it's really important that we push them and engage them in a way that they're going to be successful. So these are my keys to planning a tech lesson in the social studies ELL classroom. I work in an American history course. Another co-teacher works with the global students in New York State. So these are our three key things to planning. And the first one is to decide on a clear plan for a technology use. What's its purpose and what is the objective? It's really essential to any technology integration in a classroom is that it is intentional, it is purposeful, and it's not just adding tech to add tech. The second thing to planning a social studies co-taught lesson with tech is how to differentiate and meet the needs of all learners in the class, L and non-L students. Many of us have worked in different classrooms, and I've worked in classrooms with students who are of special education, who have need differentiation. So the technology really benefits everybody. And the third piece to planning a lesson is in what ways can students participate in the lesson that meet their needs. So what's really great about the co-taught classroom is there's two teachers. So somebody can always do one thing while another one does another. My co-teacher and I for American history, one of us will have a laptop and she'll have the other. And we're simultaneously doing things to meet the needs of the various kids in the classroom. It does take a little bit of a logistic thing. We do this nice little tango dance throughout the classroom, trying to make sure everything's okay, but it works out really well because the kids feel successful, and that's the whole point. So the first tool I'd like to talk to you guys about today is Google Q&A. So if you use Google Sites in the classroom, you can Google Slides in the classroom, excuse me, you can actually set up a Q&A, which is free. It's completely free. It's part of your Google slide deck. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to pull up another slide show on this screen where you guys are watching me, so you can kind of see what it looks like. So this is an example of something that I might do in the classroom. Okay, so for this, what you'd like to do is you'd say, like, let's do a Q&A. Let me have the students interact with me and share with me what they're learning in the classroom. So the first thing that I love to do with them is once you create your slide deck, you go up to this present up here. And if you click it, it says presenter view. It's going to open up your screen. And then down here, it's going to say Q&A. So if you click that, it's going to open up a box on your screen. And you're going to click Start New. And it's going to have, for the kiddos on theirs, or up on the smart board if you're using it, it's going to give them a little address. So what you can do is tell the students, type in this address in a separate toolbox, in a separate tab, and they'll be able to interact with you and answer questions in a way that's either, I'll show you. I like this. This is really cool. It comes up like this. So if I was doing a lesson and I wanted to know, what is in social studies, what is the difference? What does it mean to check and to balance? What's really great is the students can ask anonymously. Check means, and then they can add whatever they want. And what's really great about it is it lowers that affective filter, which is really important for our ELLs to feel successful and engaged in the classroom. So we want them to feel like they can participate without, feeling nervous. So if they click submit, okay, they'll tell us what it is. And on my little box that'll be up on my screen, it'll say right here what that student had typed in. And see how it says anonymous? I don't know who it is, but if you know your ELLs, you might be able to say, wow, that's, student A who might have participated. What's also really great about Google Q&A is that if you have an ELL who answered something so fantastic and you go to their presentation, I'm going to drag this to my other screen here, you can actually share that answer with the whole class. So if I click present click present here and I click present, the whole class gets to see that answer and it shows up as anonymous. So the students are sharing their knowledge and they're getting they're feeling prideful about their work, but yet that oh, it's not me, nobody knows it's me, kind of takes the edge off a little bit. And we've used this especially when we've taught really complex topics for social studies. We've used it for checks and balances. We've used it for vocabulary. And the kids really, really do enjoy it because it's cool because they're sharing with their peers all these different things. So it's great, and it's free, and it's already embedded into your Google slide deck. Just again, and if you click on, I'm very much into showing people how to do these tools. So it's more of a reference when you are done. So you will always have this. If you go back, you're like, oh, I really want to try Q&A. All my slides, I have all these boxes, and it shows you how to do all of it, which is really cool. So Google Q&A, really, really simple. It already takes your slides and uses them in a question answer session. Okay, here we go. Again, I just showed you how to do it, and especially in the global classroom. Global history is interesting as well. They have to do the terms. So here, I created this question. What does the word nationalism mean? And you can leave this open during a whole lesson, and you can constantly check the stream and check students' understanding and respond back to those students at a different time, or make sure, these kids keep asking, my ELLs keep asking about these, vocabulary terms. Maybe this is something that I need to use, go over in the next lesson. So it's a really great way to check understanding, especially in a whole class, in a co-taught class where there's two of you and you're walking around and you're trying to deliver content. Q&A is a really great way to kind of, use it as an assessment tool. Wow, I really should go over this. So it's a really, really simple tool to use. Okay. So the next tool, just really quick here, these are the benefits of it. It is students can ask anonymously to lower their affective filter, which is great. The teacher can provide students with sentence frames. So if you have a newcomer, I had a newcomer in my ELL classroom this year for American history, and I had pre-populated some sentence frames for her to keep in her notebook. And when we did Q&A, she would be able to type it, and it would show up that way. It engages your students with note-taking and direct instruction. So it makes them think about what we're talking about. My co-teacher and I, we align it with our in-class notes. It's purposeful note taking, and it allows it to differentiate. I've had in my social studies classroom, I have the co-taught teacher. Her name is Rosalind Antoniazzi. She's fantastic. She would have one computer and I would have another. And I had two different levels. I had one ELL, two newcomers and three intermediate students. I ran two different Q&As. And when I saw something great, we both could share it and put it up on the smartboard for students. So great, because it empowered my newcomers to take that risk, especially in the co-taught classroom with students who are native English speakers. And again, it works great because there's two teachers in the classroom, and that goes to the co-teaching and collaboration. All right, my second tool I'd like to talk to you about is this tool called GoFormative. GoFormative is a third-party program that I've been using now for about 2 years. And what I like about GoFormative is that it has a variety of different ways to assess students' knowledge in the classroom. So I'm going to show you how it works in social studies, especially for our classes. It provides immediate feedback to students. So they do an activity. Once they submit it, it provides them immediate feedback. There's various ways to assess them: multiple choice, short answer, drag and drop, categorization, annotated PDFs. Students can work at their own pace. Sometimes in a co-taught classroom, everything is go, 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 go. And, we never really get a chance. The students don't get to really take the time and really absorb it. So this is great because even if they don't finish, they can go back and do it at their own time. And it's just something to be shared as simple through a Google Classroom link or a hyperdoc, which is something I'm going to talk about at the end. So it's one of those really great third-party tools that I've been using now for about 1.5 years, and I think it's fantastic. My students really like it. You can pull it up on the smartboard or your Twitter, not your Twitter, your however your Promethean board, and you can show the students how to work on it. So for example, you have here, it's a free tool. It's completely free. Obviously, the enhancements are an upgrade, like many great tools we have. And it's very similar to Google Classroom, and it merges with your Google Classroom rosters. So if you have a Google Classroom, you can upload all your students from your Google Classroom and put them into GoFormative. And now the students are able to go in, and it's only for your classroom, which is fantastic. These are all of the different tools you can use in GoFormative. And then you can assign it to students. When you send it, you decide how you want the students to get feedback. Do you want them to return a score? Do you want them to return the correct answer? Do you want them to have the ability to go back and edit, which I think is really important for ELL learners, is that ability to go back and look at and reassess and understand and try again. I really do this a lot. I try to really emphasize the redo process with the ELLs. So that is something that I really like about GoFormative. So here's an example of a tool that I've used in GoFormative. It's an annotated PDF. I'm a former college basketball player, and I love March Madness, and it's my favorite time of year. So what I did is I tried to teach my students about, well, what is this March Madness? It's a very culturally appropriate thing in the United States, and some of my ELLs, do not understand it. So what I created here was an annotated PDF, and all that is here is just a PDF that you upload to GoFormative, and I annotated it, and I put short little questions here for the students to look at. The first question here says, what does NCAA stand for? They're able to zoom at this, they're able to highlight, check it out, and really read at their pace and answer the question. And it's just a simple short answer question. Here, question number 2 is a little bit of a higher order. Well, looking at a map, where on the map are the most schools located? And 3, name a sport you think is a college level NCAA sport, this is a really great tool, this annotated PDF, because you can annotate anything. You could upload a story elements chart for ELA and have students check that out. I've also done it in my one co-taught class, we had the students do a higher order thinking question on Vietnam War. In what ways was the Vietnam War a defining event for an entire generation of Americans? And they're able to type up their answer. And then down here, we did a drag and drop of understanding Article 1 of the Constitution. And the students were able here to drag and drop the numbers to the correct box. So again, depending on the levels of L's that you have, it's a really, really great tool. And what's really cool about it, and I'll show you here from my end, is this is what the GoFormative deck looks like. So what you can do is it's live. And you can track the progress of your students throughout any GoFormative. So here we have the powers of Congress. And the students have to drag and drop the tools into the proper places. And if we wanted to preview it, this is what the students will see. And I'll put it up, make it a little bit bigger. And this is how the students, so if they think it goes here, they just drag it over. They think it goes here, they drag it over. And then they submit it at the end, and I'm able to get the responses in real time. So if I go to view responses, these are all of the students' responses, and you can see what their score was out of 10. And you can track that over time. My L's really like this project. They really like it because it fits the needs of the things that they like to do. Some of them like to categorize, some of them like to look at documents. So it's a really great tool. I love GoFormative a lot, and you can do it. There's so many different ways you can use GoFormative in the classroom. Again, here, these are the responses. You can track them, and it can help individualize your instruction after you have a ELL a lesson with the technology. You could realize that, you know what, I really need to focus on these key academic vocabulary words. Again, it's differentiated based on the needs of your L's. You could create one GoFormative, copy it, and make another GoFormative that would be for maybe a different level of L. It's immediate feedback. There's a retry on topics. And you can insert visuals, videos, captions, and stems. You could put so much in this tool. And like I said, I love it. And what's really cool now is they're coming up with all these new updates. You can check if students have copied and pasted now, which is really, really nice. So you are getting really great teaching moments out of this as well. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This one is Nearpod. I don't know if anybody's ever used it. It's very similar to Google Q&A, except it's another third-party app. And what it's great about it is that I used it very similar to Q&A. I did it simultaneously. I had one computer for my newcomers, and my co-teacher for the U.S. history had the Nearpod for the intermediate, more advanced students. And we ran the same lesson, same topic, same content, but it was differentiated for the different L's. So, the students were able to participate, do the same activities, but just in a way that met exactly what they needed. So I'm going to show you really quick. I'm sure many of you know about Nearpod, but if you can see here, up here at the top is my intermediate to advanced Nearpod that I ran. We were talking about this idea of pardoning, and that's a really difficult concept for students. So you'll see this was the PowerPoint. This was the question. How do you think pardoning Nixon affected Ford's popularity? These are a little bit difficult questions. I did the same lesson on the bottom here for my newcomers. And what I did is I really focused on here the understanding the idea of what a pardon was. Not so much that Nixon was pardoned, but more of really focusing on the key vocabulary. So what I did is I gave them this. I gave them the definition. I gave them also, I don't know if you could see down here on the bottom, but I gave them a definition down here somewhere, a definition of pardon in their native language. I am fluent in Spanish. And I had them think about, why would someone need to be pardoned? What would be a reason for being pardoned? And all the students have to do in Nearpod is circle and tell me and really show me that they understand what the word is. And that really a lot of the times for social studies is understanding what the academic vocabulary is for social studies. So that's why they really liked this Nearpod. And my ELLs were able to participate, same topic, same lesson. Everybody had a Chromebook. They really, really, really loved it. So it was great. I was really proud of them. Again, it's differentiated based on their needs. You can share to the class on their own devices. It takes your pre-made notes. There's the matching tool, the draw it tool, the multiple choice, and the poll. You can insert visuals, videos, captions, and stems to help your students. We've done a lot of political cartoons. Political cartoons oftentimes show up on the New York State Regents exam, and the students are required to analyze and use them in their documents. So it's really great we do this right away. I guess this will be, because I have a couple more minutes, but I want to just talk about this. Let me see here. Do I have? Perfect. I'm going to talk about this last thing, which is called a collaborative slide deck Google Sites. So you can do this in two ways. A collaborative slide deck is where you share one slide, one Google Slide PowerPoint deck with all of the students in the classroom. And what you do is you pre-populate all of the slides for the students with the questions, and you are explicit in what you want them to investigate. However, when I ask for the information on the slides, I give them the choice. Show me what you know. If you want to put it in your L1, that's great. If you'd like to show me using pictures, that's fantastic. If you'd like to show me using a YouTube video, fantastic. And what it creates is a live review sheet for all of the students. The entire class is working on one slide deck. Okay, each student has a role in their collaborative slide deck. So one student's the researcher, one student's the video person, one student's the word cloud person. What I've done, and as my students have become more comfortable in the classroom, is I pair them with a fellow L or a non-L peer. So they're learning the BICs and they're using their CALPs at the same time. And what's great is they can share the work with the rest of the class. They are on par with their peers, which is so, so awesome. And this is so simple to do. All you do is you make the entire document edit. All students can edit the document, and they all work on the same slideshow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the one that I have here really quick. We have a couple of more minutes, and then I'm going to check the Q&A if anybody has questions. Wow, this is the fastest 25 minutes of my life. This was so great. I feel like I could go on for about all this. This is so awesome. Okay, so what my co-teacher and I did is we pre-populated a collaborative slide deck, and we were very explicit on what my students and I wanted to do. These are their instructions, explicit instructions, one visual, key vocabulary, and really wanted to, be purposeful, be intentional, but also let them play a little bit. Work, I'll show you one of the things from one of my L's for her newcomer. She was able to do it, and it was great. You pre-populate the students' names. You tell them what their questions are. And I'll show you right here, this group here, they were question 7. Let me show you here. Question 7. Just have to find it down here. It might be Burke the Turtle. Oh, went too far. 8, one more, 7. Okay, so these were my newcomer. These were like intermediate students. What my co-teacher and I did is after they did it, we took all their PowerPoint and we put our own notes in it. So then we empowered them. We're like, yeah, you have the great stuff. And then all we did was we added our own notes for them to learn the material. And the kids love this slide deck. And it's all collaborative. It's all done through Google Classroom, and they can share it. This is a sample of one of my students. This is 2 intermediate and 1 newcomer. How is the world different? It showed them the new technology was developed, and then they included pictures. The last thing that's collaborative is the new Google Sites, which I highly recommend, which is the Virtual website. So what's really cool about Google Sites is everybody can work on the website at the same time. So I will show you. What you do is you just add all students as a collaborator. Let me just pull up here. Up here, all I did was paste all the students' names from the class into the into the editors. So they were all able to edit. And I was all of the students here. I'll show you. I'll go to the preview. This is what the collaborative website was done. This student here, I gave her the questions. I gave it to her in English. I gave it to her in Spanish. And she was able to respond to me, work in a collaborative group, collaborative slide deck with the entire class, participate. She was able to give me her answers. And that was great. She was able to do what all of her classmates were able to do. This is another group, another set of ELLs. They had to answer questions on blacklisting, Bert the Turtle, which is one of my favorite YouTube videos for social studies. And Google Sites. If you haven't used it yet, it will change your life because it is so simple. For my ELLs who have little to no technology experience, they're able to do that. That girl who worked on group number 9 had been in my class since February, and I was able to give her the tools that met her needs. I gave her the technology tools. I paired her with a non-speaking ELL who was really excited to work with her, and she was able to do that. And that's what's the most awesome thing about technology in the ELL classroom, and especially in the social studies classroom. And I'm not going to get to HyperDocs today, unfortunately, but what I might do is I might go back and re-record it, and I'll send you guys out a link about it. So these are my favorite social studies cooperative tools, and I'm going to stop sharing. Right here, just so you know, this is my personal email. If you'd like to ask me any questions, this is my Twitter. If you want to contact me on Twitter. I love teaching ELLs. I don't know if you realize, but I love using technology. I have found that what the instructional technology tools that I've used in the classroom, I've used them. They've been great. Sometimes they've bombed. Sometimes I have to go back and go, what was I thinking? But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what Jana was saying in her keynote. It's about telling students that you care about them and you're engaging them in the lesson, and you want them to be a part of the co-taught classroom. So I'm going to leave this last couple of minutes for questions. So I have my chat up. So if anybody wants to ask me any questions, they certainly can. You know, there's a ton of other tech tools out there. Google Maps is another one of my favorites that I use for social studies to teach map skills. So I'll just wait a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to, you know, tweet at me or check out in the chat, I have it open. If anybody has any questions, I have no problem, you know, checking that out. If you want to talk to me later, that's great too. I really appreciate everybody tuning in on a Saturday morning. And this was fantastic. I'm so excited. And yeah, that's great. Just a recommendation, I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who I've learned some of my tech tools from. Katie Gardner, I don't know if she's a part of this today. Shout out, Katie. She has a lot of great tech tools. Alice Keeler, who's another fantastic person to follow. Who else is great? There's a bunch of ISTEs this weekend, so check that out. You might get some new tools. But I'm always tweeting stuff about technology and all of that. And if anybody ever needs anything, you need a tech tool, you want to try something, please let me know. Oh, where can you get a list of the tools? I'm going to go back here real quick. I'll go back to my very first PowerPoint, Teresa, and you can check out my bit.ly. If you go to the bit.ly here, Teresa, if you go here to this bit.ly, the bit.ly Virtue L 18 social studies, it's a list of all of my tools that I've used. You can check those out. It is case sensitive, the bit.ly. And my Twitter, this is my Twitter handle. That's my Twitter handle at DigENL Tech. And I will post the tools in my description as well. I will send that out. I might actually, what I could do is I can make a Google Doc for everybody. I'll make a Google Doc with all of my tools. I'll make a list and you guys can check it out. Shout out to Flipgrid. If you use it for social studies, that is also 100% free now for teachers. So I'm going to stop screen sharing. if anybody, I got about another minute or so. If anybody else has any questions, but I will put a Google Doc together and I will tweet that out so you can check that out. I'll include some other tools that I didn't get a chance to speak about with you guys today that I recommend that you check out. I have tons of resources. I have no problem sharing it. This is all about great teaching and it's all about sharing what I know. And this was great. So I really do appreciate everybody tuning in today. If you have any further questions, you need anything, please let me know. This was a great session. I really appreciate all you tuning in. Happy Saturday. Happy summer for all of us who are on summer vacation. And keep doing these great, amazing things, all you fantastic ELL learners. Bye from New York. See you guys later.